Hey, my name is Jeff Casper. I'm the executive director at Turing, and this is a quick primer on what the hell is software engineering, why you should care about Turing, why you should come to Turing, and come be a software developer with us. It really started with this essential question of if you had smart, hardworking people who really didn't know anything about building software, didn't have a background in computer science, etc., how long would it take to turn them into job-ready software developers? I had this hypothesis that we could do it in approximately 6 months, and we've been iterating now on that idea ever since. So across 13 years now, been training people through these kinds of accelerated programs. And when you look at all the outcomes, we have about 2,500 graduates. Over 90% of them are working in the field. Their average salary it's around 72,000, fluctuates up and down a little bit, but it's like strong livable wage. And then one of the things I get most excited about is seeing their growth when they're out in the field. That 5 years after graduation, the average student is earning 160K, which is just like life changing for so many people. Our mission as an organization is to unlock human potential by training a diverse, inclusive student body to succeed in high fulfillment technical careers. And the purpose is not really to create software developers. The purpose is to help people build a life for themselves, to unlock a career that allows them to live the way they want to support the people they care about, support their kids, support themselves, support their parents, and like have education options, have employment options, have housing options, etc. Software engineering just happens to be like a good way to do all that. Couple notes about 2407. Our 2407 cohort, they just graduated here in January 2025. Folks like Lido, who came to us with background being an electrician, independent contractor, working out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and now working on becoming a professional engineer. Renee, who's a flight attendant. Melkor, who's building ships. These are not folks who, spent 10 years like dreaming of being a software developer or have this extensive background or undergrads in like science and engineering and so forth. They're normal folks who decided to change up their career, work hard, and were successful at it here at Turing. An idea of some of the projects that folks build. Okay, now we do a demo comp every 7 weeks. And so just give you a little idea, I think we're not going to do the whole demo video here. I can share those links if you're so
In
interested.
2009, 2.3 million
But
Americans lived more than 1 mile away
these
from the
folks
supermarket and did not
built
own a car,
a
according to the
project
Tulane
centered all around
University School
food.
of Social Work. Many
And
Americans
so
suffer
in
because
demo
of food
comp,
deserts.
it's a little chance for
I
them
am.
to
This is
show
what food
off
haven
their
aims to do,
work,
to feed
explain
people by
like
routing them to
what
food.
got them
The
interested
end
in the
user of food
problem
to utilize
and
the
what they built. So
application,
this one
but having
was
the
built to be
functionality
like
to
mobile
register and
first.
log in for accounts
So
using an
they're
email and
doing kind
account
of
password is allowable
typical
for the user,
mobile
along with using
interaction
Google Auth
around
authorization for
user
any location to
authentication,
find quotation for the user.
entering data,
Once the route is
helping
selected,
folks
directions can
find
be found.
grocery
The users can
stores
select their
uh,
route,
in their
pick that
area
route,
and around
and
certain
get on their way to the
criteria and
market.
so
Haven
forth.
utilizes a service-oriented
In the demo, they
architecture.
share a little bit about
We
the
chose Bootstrap
technical
5 for our
architecture of
styling
how they
because it's a
build
great
all these
library with a
systems.
lot of
So this
documentation.
is illustrative of like when you build a modern web application, you're not just building one thing, you're typically building kind of a constellation of things that have to all work together. So, how do you work with data coming in from Google Maps? You're maybe in these folks' case building a Ruby on Rails backend, a JavaScript front end, using some Bootstrap in there, pulling some data on the back end from their database and from the USDA and all these pieces. And again, folks who like 7 months ago didn't know anything about programming can pretty quickly get to a spot where they're building professionally architected applications, which is really pretty awesome.
We're able to successfully migrate our framework
And then,
without
of course,
compromising the
part of
quality or
demo comp
functionality of
is
our application.
get into
Recently, we sat
practice
down
to
and had a
like talk about your
conversation
work.
about our dreams for the
That
future of
feeds
food
into
haven.
the interview
I'd really like to
processes,
see the individual markets.
into the process that you use in the job.
to everyone who needs
of
it,
you have to
like
advocate for your
we
work and
should
you have
create
to
ways
collaborate as a
to
team and so
take
forth.
as many of those
Software
limits away as
engineering is
possible.
not
We're looking for
like
farmers
hiding in a
markets right now,
cubicle
right?
like
Like
some
what
people
about food
imagine.
banks?
Like
What
it's
about
very collaborative work.
other
And so
resources
that's why
of
we
that
spend the
nature to
majority of
include?
our
And the
time working
resources
in
page kind of
pairs and
just comes along
teams
with that.
at
Like what
Turing.
other
So that was Food Haven, a little more like a fun project, game night. Um,
Hello,
this
everyone.
is
My
a
name is Adrienne Sutherland, and
project
along with my
built for
friend
like
Nikki,
board game
Ashley Webb, and To Make It
enthusiasts,
Easier, our
and
lives are
we'll get a little bit into
If
the
they like
tech.
the
So
look
it's
of an
like
event, this is also
helping
where they're able
you
to sign up,
organize and
leave, or
browse
make changes as
different
the host.
board games using
Each user
a
also has a
big pile
profile
of
page
data.
displaying some
And
basic. Hosting an event, users simply
with
select one of the
demo
titles from their
comp,
collection they'd like to play.
it's not a
add a
startup
few
competition.
logistical
We're not
details,
like,
and
let's
hit
build the
submit.
most
They'll
amazing
get a
application
notification
so that
once
we
their
can
event
get
is successfully posted
$10,000
to the
investment.
browser.
It's really just let's build an
Finally,
application that
if
can
a
be
user's left wondering
engaging
what to play
towards some
next, we've got
purpose
them
to,
covered. On
have
the
a
recommendations
point
page, they can request tailored
and
AI-generated suggestions of games to check out
implement
based
all
on their
these
current game collection.
strategies, tools, ideas that we're learning
For our
about in
front-end
class.
technologies, we
So
use React.
these folks, they've really got like a pile of technologies that they're bringing together from, again, Ruby on Rails on the back end. They're doing testing with RSpec. They're using AI engines in real time in the application. They're doing all these different pieces on the front end, and then like connecting things with automations and GitHub Actions and GraphQL. And again, like folks who a couple months ago had never written a line of code before. It's pretty awesome.
CSS or initial
Draft concepts and ideals. We then broke down a
How do you like
timeline with a
diagram?
checklist.
How do you
to set our
organize a
MVPs.
project?
After
Like the
this planning
hardest thing
session,
about
visual
a team
elements
and
were
group
vital.
project
Using
is
Adobe
keeping it
Illustrator,
organized,
John
keeping
laid out
people
an
working on the right
excellent
things at the
design
right
that we then
time.
transformed into a Figma
So
board
how do
that
you
granted
like
access to
prototype
everyone.
your front end,
This in a beautifully
turn it
crafted
into
JSON contract
code,
ensure we would reach our objectives.
and especially when you
We
have
kept the
some
strategy
folks working
going
on
by
a front
hosting
end,
a
some
daily
folks working on the
stand-up
back
with
end,
a tracker,
like that
a combined
communication
GitHub
becomes
project
super
board, and
important.
an async
And so
end of
we're
day
talking
via
about
Slack.
that,
Treat
all those pieces
geocoder
in the
and
demo.
GeoKit. When creating
All right, so students
an-
build some fancy projects. How does Turing work? We do all of our learning remotely on Zoom. Folks will end up working locally and remotely. And so often people are like, oh, there's no jobs where I am. That usually turns out to not be true. There are highly technical roles almost everywhere in the country. I definitely push people to work locally if they can. That's where there are often the best opportunities. And learning remotely sets you up to work well remotely. So if you really want to pursue a remote job, there are opportunities. They're a little harder to get, but there are remote work opportunities out there. Whatever job someone goes into as a software developer, like the one thing you know for sure is it's not going to be the same in the future. So as AI is obviously having a huge impact on all industries, as new programming languages come out, new programming frameworks come into vogue, what we want is for a Turing graduate to be ready for all that change, to be ready to grow and really make the most of it. The opposite would be a scenario where it's like, okay, we teach you one thing and then you go do that for a couple years. And then 5 years from now, you got to come back and learn the next new thing. We love our alums. I don't want to see them again. We want you to come once, build the skills, build the competencies so that you can go through generation after generation over, a decade, over multiple decades in this industry. You got to be ready to like pivot and learn and do what's next. Through that, a lot of graduates will go into jobs where they're not using exactly the tools that we taught them. There are so many different languages and frameworks and options and all this stuff. If you talk to people about becoming a software developer, they'll all have strong opinions about like, oh, if you learn this language, you're an idiot. The only language that's worth learning is this one. And then you'll go talk to a different person who will flip those around and say the exact opposite. As students become alums and go into technical interviews and all that, we know that they need to be already adaptable. And so practicing these skills in Turing sets you up for success in the interview and in the first job. And what we want to see over the years is that people progress from entry level, junior level positions to mid level. That typically is somewhere between 2 and 5 years, kind of depending on the person and their company. By about the 5 year point, folks are usually at the senior engineer level. Somewhere around 8, 10 years, start to reach into like staff engineer, and from there into principal engineer. Also, some folks who, decide I've had enough of actual programming might move into leadership. So we have people who are working as team leads, directors of engineering, even CTOs, right? And so what's important about that is becoming a software developer now is entry to the industry. It's not like, oh, I want to be a software developer for the next 30 years. If you want to go down that path, you totally can. And if you want to be a developer for 2 to 5 years and then move into like a management role or a product role or a leadership role, like all those pathways are open to you with this kind of experience. Turing is running two programs. Our main program, the one that most alums have been in, the one that we're running right now, is we call software engineering. It's full time, Monday to Friday. For Eastern folks, that'd be 11 to 7. We run on, we talk in Mountain Time, which is 9 to 4, or Pacific, that'd be 8 to 3. We have students spread across the country. In this full-time program, there's a lot of work outside of class. And so the typical student is going to put in like 50 hours a week between, I would say minimum 50 hours a week between class and their homework, their project work, meeting with their team, etc. They get that program done. If you go straight through, you pass all your classes, it's going to be done in 4 6-week modules. There's a 1-week break in between. And so it takes about 7 months to get through the whole software engineering program. The alternative is our launch program, which is set up on a different structure. So it's part-time, but it's not part-time like a stop by once in a while. It's a pretty busy part-time. So it's set up to be Monday through Thursday with Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. And so the idea of this program is really to support folks who need or want to work part-time and can do so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There's a little bit of work outside of class, but not nearly the same amount. Typical students putting in like 32 hours a week to launch, and that allows them maybe 10, 16 hours of opportunity to do other work if folks need to earn some money. In order to hit this threshold that we've seen of 1,500 hours that it takes for a person to be a professional software developer, it's going to take a little bit longer. And so launch is set up as 6 6-week modules and instead of 4 6-week modules. So it takes about 11 months. So almost a year to get through launch. If these things sound interesting to you, then where do you go from here? Our next cohort is starting January. No, sorry. Let me say that again. Our next cohort is starting February 3rd, which is about a week and a half from now when I'm speaking. Next week, January 27th, the week of January 27th, we're running a couple Mod Zero intro sessions that are to help people get ready to go, understand a little bit more in detail about how Turing works, getting your computer set up, all those kinds of things. So that February 3rd, you're ready to hit the ground running. Next week and in the coming weeks, we're always running these try Turing sessions, which are a great way to get your feet wet with programming itself, which they're usually like 2 hours, 3 hours online sessions to actually do some hands-on programming with a live instructor, get your questions answered, talk with some other people who are interested in this kind of program. And so really recommend try Turing as a good entry step. You're also welcome along the way to schedule time with our admissions team. They can answer questions. You can also meet with an alum if you'd like to talk to them, get some more of their perspective and experience. And then looking into the future, our next cohort of the software engineering program is going to start March 23rd. And then the next start date after that is May 12th. And we're evaluating right now whether that is going to be software engineering or launch or both, kind of depending on interest. So if based off this stuff, based off this thinking, if you say, all right, I might be willing to check out this whole software development thing, then we'd love to get you engaged in some of these spots. We start a cohort just about every 7 weeks. So there's always one coming up. We got the try coding sessions, try Turing sessions going. We got Mod Zero sessions. You can meet with financial advisor, admissions advisor, alumni, all that to get your questions answered. That's Turing in a nutshell. Thanks for listening to me for a few minutes and hope to meet you soon.